So Audrey is $1 million sales director. She has earned 15 top trips. I mean, it gets to this point where you're almost like, well, where have I not gone? Am I right? Like 15 top trips, you guys, that she and Todd have been treated to. And I need you to understand, like, some of the tables don't have the placemat in the middle anymore, but there was one in there that had the picture of Budapest and Prague, where the trip is this year. And when you go on these trips, you have to know they are 5-star everything. You get money for when you have meals on your own, right, Petey? You get money, and you don't get like, $15 for lunch. I think you get like $50 or $60 a person for lunch, and then $600 of cash for meals that you weren't eating as a group. So if they're not serving you at a group event, you're getting about $600 to pay for your lunches and dinners. So you're not like splitting a Happy Meal. You can really have whatever you want. And then they take you on excursions that are just incredible. My first trip was to Rome, and that's where Audrey and I really got connected. And we stomped grapes. Do you remember that? I mean, we literally got into these bins and stomped. We were like Lucy. I'm showing my age now. But I mean, the excursions are incredible. The conversations are amazing. The connections. Audrey and I live in the same state, so I'm sure that we would be friends. But because of the trips, we've just had that extra time together to connect, and our husbands know each other because of these trips. We count them as some of our dearest friends. And so I just wanted to kind of give you a little view of what those 15 top trips. And let's just be clear here, 6 of them were $800,000 or higher. So you earn the trip with $650,000 in unit sales, but 6 of Audrey's were extended, meaning she added on an additional trip of even more exclusivity and a smaller group. She's been number 1 in the state of Virginia 2 times. She's been most improved in the state of Virginia 2 times. She has driven 12 pink Cadillacs. She's been in the court of sales, selling at least $40,000 of product a year, 18 years. So she's taken a ring or cash for every one of those 18 years. And she has a hive of bumblebees on her lapel of her jacket. She's been in the court of sharing 9 times. 9 times, 24 consultants, or new team members, and probably many of those were much more than 24. Her highest monthly commission so far, can you say so far with me? Thank you, because we have to make that clear. This did not include her personal sales. This was just her commissions for changing lives, impacting lives, being a leader, was over $22,300. She is an executive senior sales director building her national area, which I have no doubt will happen sooner than she could even imagine. And this table over here is representation of that area coming together. We are praying for you all. We are cheering for you. We know what it takes, and the Dream Team stands with you, and we will be at your national area debut. And we can't wait to celebrate your resilience. What I love about Audrey is that she is strong. She is determined. She is bold. She is brave. She is willing to take risks. She does everything in a way that honors God. Her excellence is so top-notch, my friends. I love when she teaches. I learn so much from her, and I love how you love people. And I'm so grateful for how you love the Lord, because it shows, and you just have a glow about you. So thank you, my friend, for sharing, bringing up our number 1 sales director at this event, Audrey MacDowall.
Good morning. Y'all ready to rock this out? Yes. Let's start our time. So I'm going to share with you my story. And normally my style would be to share only business concepts and nothing about myself. But because to stay on topic of what Karen desired, it is going to be a personal story without it being a long, sad story, with the business lessons weaved throughout in order to accomplish the goal. And so it's definitely out of the comfort zone for me, but this is a true story. And so the first thing that I want to tell you is that brokenness is God's requirement for maximum usefulness. And this is going to be a story about the life skills that I was equipped with because of personal development in Mary Kay that helped me to successfully get through the most difficult situation in my life. And so it was the summer of 2021, and we were in Gulf Shores, Alabama, to celebrate my mom's 80th birthday. And I was awakened in the middle of the night by hearing my husband we had rented a big beach house, in the bathroom in our suite, making noise like, how many of y'all have had a baby? Raise your hand. So when you're breathing at the highest level, when you're at the highest pain threshold, he was breathing like that. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not a maximizer. And I banged on the door and he wouldn't let me in. And I said, Todd, if you don't let me in, I'm going to go get Aaron, who's my brother, who's a Marine, who's been deployed 6 times. And so he opened the door because he knew that Aaron would get in. And overnight, our life was changed. And Todd was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. And his PSA was at an alarming rate. If you're a nurse, it was at 58, and it climbed to 98 through this. And so I want to share with you the lessons of resilience that happened to us. So number 1 is God never breaks his promises, and he will never give you more than you can bear. And our daughter, Kristen, at the time, we have 3 children, Michael, who's 28, Megan and Kristen, who are 20, almost 7 now, lived with us for a period of time. And she watched me caring for Todd and going through all of this, and I'll dive deeper into that in a minute. And she said, Mommy, she said, you have supernatural strength. You have more energy than me. You're acting like a 30-year-old. And I can remember, and I'm way past 30, I can remember feeling God physically strengthen me and emotionally. It was like I was Superwoman for real. I was like, I did these long days. It's almost impossible to describe in this brief amount of time, going from your husband, he's a chiropractor, running a giant practice, working at a very heavy pace, to being in the bed. I'm not the nurse type, to being in hospitals and all of these situations and all of that. So he will strengthen you. Number 2, getting the medical records is what I titled this. I'm going to tell you little stories and how Mary Kay made it to where I could do it. Todd had been diagnosed. Some doctors will not give you the immediate care that you need because you're just a number when you're a patient at some locations. And we were at one of those locations, and the oncologist had just dropped the news on us. This is how sick you are, and it was what we call in the country, bad sick. And we got to the checkout, and the lady said, we'll see your husband again in 3 months for all his stuff. And I said, we're gonna see my husband tomorrow for his testing. And she was like, excuse me? And she was a young millennial receptionist. She was treating me with young millennial attitude. And I saw her name badge, so I learned people skills from Mary Kay. And I said, Susan, I said, I know to you that this man slumped over right here is patient number 900 today, but this is my husband of 30 years. And I pulled up a picture on my phone of our family. And I said, visual, I learned about goal posters and purpose and enrolling people in what's important to you. And I said, and this is my family and his babies. And this is what we're fighting to live for. And I said, and we're going to have an appointment tomorrow. She still strong-walled me, people skills. Sitting to her left was a wiser woman, and it wasn't her first day at medical reception. And I went over and got her name. And I said, ma'am, and she said, I heard it. I said, I know you can make the magic happen. And she said, I got you, girl. You ask for what you want, and I learned that from Mary Kay, and I was very kind to them, but I was not going to take no for an answer because I was fighting for my husband's life, and I'm not a dramatist. This is how sick he was, okay? We had all his numbers. The oncologist told us, like, he dropped it. I mean, it was not good. So that's getting the medical records. Then there was another time we had to get an appointment, and this is where preparation and humor helped me. And they wouldn't give me the copies because we had to leave that practice to go to UVA because I knew we were not with the best doctors, and I was getting the best. And so they said, well, you're going to have to wait like a week for us to get you your records and all this electronic stuff. Exactly. And I thought, oh, there will be no electronic, I will have papers. And I said, ma'am, I'm going to need to leave today with all of his records. And it was 9 in the morning. And she said, well, there's no one here to make the copies. And there's a copy machine. I said, well, I used to be a secretary. And I said, I've got lots of time, and I'd be happy to make the copies. She looked at me like, this woman. She wouldn't. And I said, what is the name of the office manager? And I still remember her name. She said, Tanya. I said, is she in? She said, yes. I said, I need you to go ahead and go on back to Miss Tanya and tell her that there's a wife here at the front, and there's lots of people in the waiting room, lots of people watching and listening. So from this, we have bravery and a confident person who doesn't care what anybody else thinks when they have a purpose. And they were staring at this point. And I said, you need to tell her that she's not going to leave the front desk until I have all the papers. And she said, we're very busy. And I literally had a little cooler. And I said, that's no problem. I packed a lunch. Plus, I brought a book. She went. I saw her back. The office manager curtly came out about 20 minutes later and shoved the papers in my hand because I had a plan, because I've been trained to plan ahead by Mary Kay, because I'm an entrepreneur of years and I'm always planning a business and thinking ahead. I'm never just going to work 9 to 5. No, I'm thinking about what's next. And I had a plan for my husband. Do you see the person that was developed without this being about me, through you being an entrepreneur and the bravery that this took? And by the way, if you have any knowledge of the Clifton Strengths Finder, how many of y'all know about it? The Clifton Strengths Finder. Please spend $50 on yourself and take it. Karen will know this more than anyone else in the room. My number one strength is harmony. That means I hate conflict, and I can get along with lots of difficult people, and I'm really good at it, and I'll do anything to avoid this stuff that I was having to do. So you can imagine, I mean, I was like sweating under my pits doing all this stuff. Let me see my time. Oh, Lord, I need way more time than that. That's okay, I'm gonna speed up. Unwavering belief and extraordinary effort. That's what I had. Unwavering belief and extraordinary effort. Next, the RNs versus the urologists. Todd ended up, eventually, being on a catheter for 5 months because he had 2 problems going on, cancer and bladder problems and all that. And they would not let me talk to the urologist, and I'll get off this. And the nurses kept coming in, and they were, I'm sorry, but giving me pat answers, and he was slipped over. And so I told the nurse, I said, ma'am, I know that you worked very hard to be a nurse. And I said, and I'm gonna need to see the actual urologist today because my husband is bad sick. And his bladder, he can't pee. And I said, I'm actually not gonna leave this room. And she said, the doctor's very busy. And no offense, but they were sending in the nurse practitioner, okay? And I said, I need to see the man that went to school for 12 years, that has 20 years experience, because I know who he was, and I knew him. He's busy. So, through Mary Kay, asking for what I want and not taking no for an answer. And I got right up, and I know, so I can do this, and I got right up in her face with my sweet southern self, and I said, I'm not leaving till he comes in. And I said, it's 1 o'clock. And I said, so I know he don't finish up till like 5, 6, so I know he's busy, but I've got time. That's called people skills. She was not happy with me, but because of my Mary Kay rejection I've experienced through all the booking calls and the people who quit and the process, I didn't care if she rejected me because I had a purpose. It's called my husband. Y'all, if I wasn't in Mary Kay, I wouldn't have been able, with who my sweet self is, to stand there. I mean, I'm shaking doing it now. I was not comfortable. He was in there in 5 minutes. Mr. Little Polo Starcher. And boy, oh man, that's a whole... this is a big one. We did not have an appointment at the University of Virginia, which I had researched, had a great oncology. And that's why I took the papers, because I decided I was going to go to UVA without an appointment and get my husband in because it was an emergency. How many of y'all ladies, there's been a time in your life when you just knew something? You're like, I can't tell you why, I can't put my finger on it. Please raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Okay, that's where I was with Todd. And I'm not trying to be a know-it-all, but I thought, he's dying, this is an emergency, if I don't get him help real quick, he gonna die. And I turned out to be right. So the power of prayer, the Lord had me want to say this to you. You know how you have a friend in your life and you could call them right now and they would be right there for you? It might be your husband, your bestie, or any girlfriend bestie, and they would do anything for you and you would do anything for them, and you know everything that's going on and you guys are tight. It's that person. Think of that person. God needs to be that person. Because I'm not bragging or boasting, it's not my nature. If you don't know me, just trust me. But I was tight with God before this happened. Because every morning, getting up, spending that quiet time in that front prayer room. Sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes an hour, but never skipping. So he was my best friend, and I was calling on him because we was tight, we wasn't distant. So the Lord wants me to tell you, draw near to him and he'll draw near to you. It's a verse in Hebrews, I think. And so I said, Lord, I need you when I get to UVA and I don't have an appointment, the front desk parole's going to be there. I need you to blind them to that and to let me in supernaturally. So we got up there, and you've got to have your little badge and your little stuff. The people were asking everybody for their stuff. We got up there, and they didn't ask us anything. They said, here's your badge, and you're my patient, you're Todd, because he was in the wheelchair, and who give you this, and they just let us through. God will open a door, walk through on dry land. Then, I'm so proud of this, and Todd will tell you to this day, I mean, y'all, was so uncomfortable. I went from floor to floor. I went first to the reception. I said, I'd like to have an appointment for my husband today. They said, what appointment does he have? I said, well, he didn't have an appointment. The first people were the hardest. They're like, you'll never get in today to UVA without an appointment. So I go to the next desk and ask them one right here, because I'm brave, because I've taken asking people. I've been conditioned for years to ask them to go to the next one. So even though I heard what she said and she heard what I said, I'd go to the next one. And finally the third one said what she said. You can't get in. I said, thank you so much for your help. Next floor. Ding, elevator. Up. Next floor. I don't care what department it was. All no's. Next floor. All no's. Next floor. All no's, and a real not nice no. The not nice no left the desk, and I sat there and I said, Lord, what do I do? In the back, if you have an I personality and you know DISC, I want you to raise your hand if it's your primary, raise it fast. Thank you. There was an I personality, and she was giggling and laughing and having fun with her coworkers in the back, and I heard her, but I couldn't see her. And there's one of them swinging doors. I've got the chills talking about this. Because I've had Mary Kay personality training, I knew who might let me in, who loves people and cares and would go with my feels. I had a 3-ring notebook with Todd's records, which were this thick at this point, and I had made a picture of our family with our daughter Megan, who earned a Cadillac at 19 on the front, Kristen, her twin sister, Michael, Todd, and I. So it's our family, all of us dressed in pink, looking cute, in front of a Cadillac, with Todd's numbers that the medical staff would need to know on all the important categories on the front of it, so that I knew they could quick pick it up. Where did I learn this? Goal posters. Keep the vision that you have in front of your people. Here's a clear goal. If a team knows the number they have to hit, that's why we hit such high numbers, they can more likely hit it, even if we just made little steps toward it. I'll tell the team, I'm like, okay, we're this much closer, and they know. And I'm brave. I don't care what the number is. We're going at it every day. So I heard her, and Nancy, she'll be in my life forever. And I went through the doors, and she was sitting there, and she knew I wasn't supposed to be back there, and I had my notebook. Oh my gosh, it's 15 minutes.
No, keep going. Keep going.
I And she said, "What you doing back here?" And I said, "I heard you laughing." And she went. And she had a little chair, and I sat down. And I said, "I knew that you would help me when I heard you laughing." And she said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want to get my husband an appointment at UVA today." She said, "Nobody does that." I said, "I know." I said, "If anybody can do it, you can do it, Miss Nancy." She said, "Sit down." She said, "What is your husband's social security number?" Well, I am prepared because I have been trained in Mary Kay by Mary Kay Ash that one day our husbands will die and we better have a savings account. She taught us that when I was at DIQ week. That means Director Training Week. She said, "You need to have your papers and your records lined up because we outlive our husbands." I'm not trying to be dramatic, y'all, but I was trained as a 25-year-old, know his social, know his birthday, know where the key of the locket, da-da-da. And so I rattled it off. She said, "Who is your doctor?" I said, "Right here," and I handed her my notebook. That I personality, she took that, her hand started shaking. She said, "I have never done a manual registration at UVA, but you're fixing to get one today." I said, "Thank you, ma'am." She said, "Sit down, be quiet, and do not interrupt me. I don't even know how to do this on this computer." I said, "Yes, ma'am." Then, I'm praying hard as I can. 10 minutes later, once she gets everything in and calls his doctor and goes, "Is Todd MacDowall your patient, social security number, blah, blah, blah." And she goes, "His wife's sitting here." And I could hear the lady on the other end. She said, "You mean the lady that just left here an hour and a half ago? She's there?" She goes, "Yes, ma'am." You have got to, in your life, forget my medical story. You have got to go for what you want and make up your mind that you are strong and that you're going to get over whatever your stuff is and that you are finally going to accomplish it and go for it even if you're scared to death. We have got to quit guessing or figuring it out. The reason we're not going for it, in my strong opinion, I'm sorry, I know I'm a little bit strong personality, is because we don't know our purpose. There is nothing or no one who could have stopped me from getting Todd MacDowall an appointment. And I had both our bags packed. I called a friend of mine. She said, "Pack your suitcases in case he sends you away. You can spend the night here and come back and hit it again tomorrow." I said, "Yes, I will." I was ready to get what I wanted. And y'all, when we want to meet people, we meet them. When we have got a vibe that we're putting out, people know it. My team, once I decided we are becoming a national area, and I don't care what happened before and how bad my heart was broke, I'm becoming it. A few of them said, "What's up with you? You different." I thought, okay, it is showing. It's that. Whatever your that is. I cannot tell you how important it is for you to make money with your Mary Kay business. I'm fixing to tell you, and then I'll skip all the way to that point, because in case Karen needs me to sit down, that's my most important point, one of them. She said, "Audrey," me and Nancy by then, she said, "Audrey, something has happened that's a miracle." She said, "Dr. Krupski, who's the head of all urology, she does all our surgeries, people wait in line for them to operate on her, she is the head. She is coming through here from surgery. She's never in here in the office because she's so busy. She's going to be coming in her scrubs, and it might have blood on them. And she said she'll see you for 10 minutes, but that's it." And I can't even believe she's coming up through here. She said, "Now, she doesn't have a good bedside manner because she's wicked smart, but she's going to look at it." I said, "Yes, ma'am, I'll take the 10 minutes. I'll take the 10 minutes. That doctor came with blood on her scrubs. And she looked at me and she said, "Hand me the notebook. Where's the records?" or something like that. And I handed them to her. She went back to her office. It said doctor's office, and she was gone. I was watching time and very alert. 20 minutes. That brilliant woman who God gave her that brilliant mind went back there and read all that, sat down, spent an hour with us, and began to save my husband's life.
Wow.
At the end of that session, she was busy, and I was being very respectful of her. I said, "Dr. Krupski," I said, "thank you for using the brilliant mind that God gave you to help me and my husband today, because you have figured it out, and you're the first doctor that's given us our answers and all our options." That tough, brilliant, strong woman instantly had tears come down like this. And I said, "What did I say wrong?" And she said, "Nobody thanks me for using the brain God gave me." We learned this from Mary Kay. We must take attention off of us and onto who she be and why she's special, because good self-confidence means that you're not thinking about yourself. That's when you're kind of getting there. I mean, we think about ourselves, we're humans, we're sinners, but it's when we can focus on others. Y'all, I learned that from Mary Kay. I was just doing what we do. She said to me then, I don't take new patients, and I will be your doctor through this whole thing. Dr. Krupski, brilliant woman. Y'all, I would not have done that if it wasn't for Mary Kay. Okay, now. Miss Nancy, Dr. Krupski. Okay, so I immediately went from being a very kept woman, which I've never shared with anyone because it's very private, and Mary Kay was my profitable hobby that got our kids through Christian school and stuff, but Todd was a chiropractor running a big practice. To Todd in the bed all the day, hot packs, cold packs, everything you do with an oncology patient. Stephanie knows more than anybody in this room. My nurse practitioner, who God brought in my life, brought her in my life, takes care of oncology. You think that's a mistake? Oh no, I don't let my guard down. Tell the story. Who does he bring? Who ministers to my soul? He's going to take care of you and bring folks. So, God will meet all your needs according to his glorious riches in Christ Jesus. I'll tell you only two quick things. One day, a bunch of women came to my house, so I'm doing parties. You can work when you're hurting and emotionally a wreck when you are skilled, because you can do it. The greatest athletes in the world can work when they're hurt. We see the NBA ones and the professionals do it. So I'm a professional, you're a professional, so I could go through this horrible stuff with Todd and break away from it and go do a party even though they didn't know what I had going on and get a pretty good result. I do. So one day, these ladies came to my house. I don't mean nothing bad by this, but they were not the target market that we want. Have you ever in your life done that? Raise your hand. Is there a friend? I was like, I need to make money. This is gonna be a rough one. I mean, they was just rough, y'all. That's just the way we say it. The Holy Spirit said to me, "You're gonna treat them just like you would Miss Scott Rocks." I said, I loved on those women. At the end, they said, "Miss Audrey, we don't have a lot." And they said, "But you really did your best for us today." One of them said in front of all her friends, and she said, "We just got paid. And we've all kind of decided while you went to the bathroom that we're gonna buy up today, even though we're using Noxema and stuff." That's what she's saying to me, just like this. And she said, "You know, we all use the spa sheet." She said, "We all want to set. We're all gonna," and it was in the holiday time then, and they said, "We're gonna do some shopping too with your holiday stuff you got here." Country people keep money in those blue old jars. I found out they do that day. They said, "We'll be right back," to their rice burner cars. The cars, you know, we don't really want to drive them cars. That's what they drove up in. I looked out. They brought their jars in. We had a huge bill to pay the next day. Those country girls were one of my highest. They weren't, I'm not to laugh at country. They were just, I don't know how to say. They bought it out. Another story. Todd's 4 years my senior. We met when I was 18 and he was 22 in college. So he had a whole different group of friends, and some of them I didn't know real good. Right in the middle of all this, we had this giant medical bill, because a small percentage of oncology with insurance is still a lot. And I'm doing it, don't forget. I'm paying for it. And I was like, "Lord," I'm in my prayer room, "I do not know how we're going to pay this one tomorrow." The whole thing, Jamie, about we did this bill, that was what I was doing. And I was like, they calling me, I got to pay this one. Renee called me. She's a GM executive in Michigan, worked for him for 20 years. She said, "I have decided to give a lotion set to all of our executive women for our big conference because, you know, Pink Cadillac, GM, and I remembered you from college. I hadn't talked to Renee in 20 years. And she said, "I'm going to wire you a check from GM today, and I need these sets. I need to look pretty. I know you're a woman of excellence. I know you'll make it look fluffy." And I thought the shoe's going to drop. There is no way I'm going to have the corporate credit card today with this many $1,000 for this many. So I just thought, what in the world? She was not kidding. She called back that night. She said, "You haven't called me. What's the price? I've got to tell my boss. I've got a corporate credit card right here." She did it. God will meet all your needs, but you got to trust Him. And I recruited her, and I was prepared because I did a Zoom because we learned how to do that so I could be in Michigan. And she started with an 1800, and she was my queen of sales last year in a big, huge unit, Renee Kidd.
Wow. Wow.
These are true stories. Now, we're going to finish with this one. Todd's condition continued. It didn't always, it just was hard. It wasn't that good. And he wasn't getting real better, and then it metastasized to his bones. I mean, we was in big trouble. So while he was in the bed and all, I decided I better start being a nurse and researching. So I was getting all the stuff you get. Chris Beat Cancer was the book, we applied all that. But then there's the Gerson therapy, and he's a doctor that did natural stuff that helps people with cancer. That's the short story. I don't have time to go into it. It's very lot to research. So we found out there's this Gerson clinic in Sedona, Arizona. They have them in Mexico in different places, but Todd didn't want to go to Mexico. And so we found out how much it cost to go, and the best package was you could be gone a month. So they gave us the prices. So we were sitting there at the dinner table, and Todd's starting to look bad. And he said, "Audrey, I really want to go, but we ain't got that kind of money." And I just kind of kept chewing. I barely picked up my fork. I said, "I got the money." He goes, "You got the money?" I said, "Yeah, I've got the money." He said, "Do you got all the money?" It was a lot of money. I said, "I got all the money." "How do you have the money?" I said, "I have it saved up." He said, "You do?" I said, "Yes." He said, "How did you do that?" I said, "Well, for years and years, it was a happy husband unawareness savings account." Sorry, men, no disrespect, but sometimes we have little secrets. We go to TJ Maxx and you think it was Kroger's, but anyway. I have been saving 10% of my sales every year, whether it was $10 or $150 or no matter what it was, because we're in sales, for a lot of years. He said, "You have?" I said, "In a high interest bearing checking savings account. Every week very consistent." And I said, "I got all the money, and I'm giving it all to you, and you're going to get the treatment." What I want for you all to know, and I'm sorry if I offend you, but I'm here to move you, not tickle your ears, is that we are spoiled Americans, and we need to save our money for when a big rainy day might come. I had no idea this was ever going to happen. Todd is a healthy person, and we live a healthy life for the most part. And I needed a lot of money right now. And it gave us a choice. I want to implore you to save 10% of what you sell every week, and don't think I'm silly. If it's $50, that's $5 going in the account. Every week, you'll never miss it. 10% to Jesus, the rest. And I want you to think of how much money you need to feel good about whatever it is, and please save, and please get help with money management if you're not great at it. It's very important, and it's one reason that I love my American business, because of choices it's given. And I know y'all don't feel comfortable and you're not looking at me real sweet, and that's okay, so we're going to go to the next point. Make money. Now, we're going to finish with this. The muscle in my mind was conditioned strong to overcome obstacles. So when we're working, we're winning even if we're not seeing the result. We're working because we're becoming this strong person, and I had to be enormously physically strong. I had to be in shape. I don't have time to tell you all of it and why. I don't have time. When you're a caretaker, you gotta be in shape. I had to be mentally in shape, physically in shape, financially in shape, or able to get the money. So even if I hadn't had the account, this is what I would have done. I would have called Sedona and said, "What's your payment plan?" and done working parties and get it, okay? Now last, my team, everything you pour into others gets poured back into you. Well, good directors have done poured into some people. This team did $800,000. You may not know much about the business. That means we're one of the top 30 teams in the company while all this is going on. And then it dipped. We did like $700,000 last year. I thought we weren't going to make the trip because it started going down a little bit. But guess what my directors were saying to me? They go, "You go take care of him. We already trained you. Oh, wait, you already trained us. I know how to run my business." And then my girls were like, "What you need?" You go, but there was the sisterhood and the support. Which brings me to Karen. Karen called me over and over, and Chuck and her prayed. And I'd say, "Karen, you are a national," like she needed to be running. "And you are busy." And she said, "I'm not too busy for you. What's going on?" Then there were all my Mary Kay people. We got cards. I have baskets of them. I will not throw them away. Meals, people showing up to my door. I don't have enough time in this day to tell you. For 4 years now, people loved on us. I love my church, but it wasn't them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was the Mary Kay community. Y'all, I cannot even tell you how much prayers went up. The Holy Spirit gave me the idea to ask people to set their clocks to pray for Todd at a certain time of day because he was given 20% chance to live, and we almost lost him one day in ICU, and the nurse said, "Do you have the power of attorney?" And you know me, I'm quite blunt, and I go, "What is that?" And she was like, we were losing him. And she said, "You can make one phone call." Well, sometimes I break rules, and I went out and I made 2. One was to somebody in Mary Kay, and one was to a family member. And I came back in the room, and something broke, and they were able to, I'll tell you later, Stephanie, all this stuff. And then he felt himself going. He knows he was, and his life was saved. So I'm just telling you, having people to call to pray and having them pray for us was a big deal. Okay, then focusing on the solutions, not the problems. I learned to do that in Mary Kay. So you've got a big bad problem. Your husband's bad, sick, he's dying. What's the solution? Find out all the ways he could live. I learned that from Mary Kay, you guys. From Mary Kay. It got me through it. Not will I win, but how will I win? I was been taught to think positively. I was like, I'm not going to lose. How will I win? How can I work when I feel this way? This was gigantic. The Lord told me to tell y'all this one. When you're making phone calls and they can't see you, they don't know if you've been crying. If you can put on a cheerful voice for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, you can get a book, and even when he's in the bed and just did a bunch of stuff that I can't go into right now, and you're like, oh my gosh. They didn't know it. I could get cute, they didn't know. Eye patches, I was the best customer. And some puppy reducer, I'd be like false eyelashes, all of it. Hi! They didn't know because I've been taught by Mary Kay Ash to compartmentalize. Her husband died, remember? And she opened the doors, but she was there for us. I learned that from our founder. And I would do a good job, and they'd leave, and I'd just start crying. Oh, okay, now I got to go back. But that was my vacation. So, Karen, I want to thank you so much for your leadership and your friendship, and for letting us be here with you at Flourish. And I want to thank y'all for listening to a tough story, but I hope you're inspired to work your business and forgive whoever you need to forgive. Forgive the one that hurt you. Because when Todd was laying there about to die, guess what I got to think about? And this is very happy. And he was like, Audrey, I think I'm going. I said, I know. I said, I know. And you know what we were saying? He said, we traveled the world together. You know why we did that? Mary Kay Cosmetics. So I was going to lose him young, but we had already had an amazing life. And it's okay if you never go on a top director trip. But what if your dream is to go on a great family vacation that you could go on to make the memory with your most important person? What if you don't never want to be a director, but you want to be able to tell your babies something or give them some choice? You can do it through Mary Kay. And y'all, I got to go to leadership. I was able to afford a male night nurse. It wasn't going to be a girl, you know what I mean? We need a comic moment. But Todd said, go, I want you to be with your directors, with your closest friends or your directors. But the night nurse was expensive. This was expensive. No problem for the Mary Kay director. I said, bring him in. I got to get out of here and get a break. So I said, you need a break? It was life to me. So Karen, I know that you get, come here, baby. I know I talked 3 times too long. Thank you for letting me. I'm sweating all over. This is so hard for me. And I know that you get a cross necklace everywhere you go. And so this is a 14-karat gold cross necklace for you. And I wouldn't normally say that, but you are pure gold.
Yes.
And I want to thank you for calling me all those times, and Karen. And the last thing God told me to share today, Karen, was that when we will not show our weaknesses and our stuff to anybody, we have a pride problem. And I had one because I was perfect, Audrey. Oh, I was working at being perfect all the time to everyone. And I was a performer, and that was my report card. Well, you have got to have some people in your life that you can say, I'm doing awful, and I feel like a failure, and I'm this and that. And one day I told Karen, we're going to have to meet on Zoom. And I said all that stuff to her and more. And she told me what the enemy was doing. So I want you to know, have a few near and dears in the body of Christ that you can talk to. And Karen was a person that for some reason I just knew she's not going to judge me. And I'm going to feel like I'm real uncomfortable telling one of my leader friends my stuff, because I'm an 8 on the Enneagram. We don't tell, that's why I'm sweating. We don't do this. If you know anything about the Enneagram, just look it up. But thank you for that day. And thank you for believing in me. And thank you for your friendship. And I really appreciate that you didn't judge me that day.
Wow.
I just want y'all to know that me and Todd are okay. But he just sent me here to share this with just even if one person could leave change. But we're okay, I promise. I know it don't look like it right now.
I just didn't even know what to say. That was such a powerful conversation. I hope you heard it. It wasn't just a great story. It was why we build strong businesses, because we don't know what's coming. And you were equipped in every way through your business. It was a beautiful testimony to what God placed in your life that you gave your excellence to. And you are incredible, and we love you and Todd so much, and we celebrate his incredible healing.
He's alive.
And you are such a beautiful friend. I love you so much. I still remember turning around on the bus in Rome and saying, Audrey MacDowall is sitting behind me. I'm serious. But look, today, you are one of my dearest friends. I'm so proud of you. I love you so much. And you are changing so many lives with your business and this story. I love it.
Thank you to my team. Thank you, guys. I would have said a lot more than I was supposed to talk about.
Man, I would have let you, I was captivated. I don't know about you guys, but I was like, do not stop talking. We got to hear this story. It was just, I wish it was recorded. Who recorded it? Oh, of course. Thank you. Thank you. Ah, man, that was a lot. So good. Not bad. That was a lot. Oh, why did I wear mascara today? I know we have waterproof. I just didn't have it with me. Somebody remind me of that next time, would you? All right. So we are wrapping up, and Annette, could you and Jean help me and pass these out? So we're going to create your comeback plan.